Hook, grab attention from both followers and newcomers, perhaps even with a joke or thought-provoking question. Does anybody have a joke or thought-provoking question?
Yotes?
Yeah, Yotes, you got a joke?
My ideas are as small as the budget for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
Damn. That's not a joke, it's just facts.
All right, Hook done.
No.
People
No?
are engaged.
Pathetic. The surveys and spreadsheets are finally finished. Save for the 32 people. You have to fill theirs out. You know who you are. Come on now. Including the second wave, all the missing info, like shirt sizes, along with a reminder that our Discord and Reddit hubs exist, leading lots of folks to come and join us. Over the past couple months, we've personally met with accountants, learning a bunch of valuable info on how this whole running a software business thing works. Getting a hold of them was pretty tricky, with quarterly taxes being due around the same time we were originally searching for them, so lots of the bigger names were booked. But stacking up those free consultations and asking more and more of those burning questions has added a few useful wrinkles to our young game dev brains. Now we'll be getting into things like more structured and documented expense tracking, dev time tracking, and generally keeping everything business related nice and tidy. Also, we spent a lot of quality time with our extensive bug list. All focuses on our core development for now, postponing our next big set of bug crushing till January. But of course, we'll be fixing any critical issues along the way. Just like we did this month with the combat overhaul hotfix that resolved class matchups not working anymore. That was a big oopsie. Or the follow-up hotfix to fix the issues from updating the previous hotfix, and then the follow-up hotfix after that because some of the changes got reverted, and then the one after that because the wrong version number was there, and
then a hotfix out to fix that, and then a hotfix out to fix that, and it had this small time of just sort of spiraling into hotfix Tartarus, if I'm allowed to say that.
Tartarus is a pony term, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pronounced Tartarus.
Hotfix Tartarus.
That sounds weird.
Yeah, never mind.
They'll figure it out. So that was interesting in itself, and that burned a lot of time, and we learned a little bit on how we want to manage hotfixes in the future, and we hope to be better with that.
A stable build is up now, and anyone can play it. Any bugs you find in there has probably been written down. Feel free to tell us about whatever you find anyways, just in case.
A lot of the challenges that I've faced over the past couple months have been in the overworld. For anyone who follows the daily Nays updates, you will see that I've been doing a lot of updates to our overworld. So at first, I made an assumption that I would sort of just be able to go in there and link up current overworld to all the new stuff that we were using in battle, so that things could be synced with all the player information. But from the last catastrophe that caused us to reset the game, not everything was rebuilt in the way that I was sort of anticipating. So once I got in there, I noticed there was a lot of missing pieces, and I ended up having to rebuild a lot of the functionality, like things like making buttons work or using items in the overworld. For like 3 weeks, I spent a lot of time fixing up all of those little things. It's not perfect, but all the menus are functionally working. So for us, that's a really good step in the right direction because we can always spend time polishing or making the user experience better. But while doing that, there were some other issues within Overworld that became more apparent. Movement was sort of a big one. The main character would walk through walls or would just keep walking off into the infinite void if you were holding down a button when you change scenes. So I started finding these little issues here and there and started fixing them one at a time. A lot of them had to do with this little thing that we have called a probe, which sort of checks the next square we want to walk into and if we're allowed to walk into it or not. So once I sort of tackled all those issues, the movements became a lot better. Along with all of those other little, like the actual updates to the gameplay, when we went in, we reviewed all of the configuration tools that we had previously built before. A lot of these tools used a lot of terminology that was catered toward more of a developer, and it made it a little more harder for our designers to get in and sort of build the level. Our designers being, well, Yotes. We reviewed all of those little widgets and we determined that we wanted to change some of the naming to be more descriptive, or we wanted things to be color coded so that they worked right. And we even found some opportunities to use gizmos, which is a feature in Unity that lets you sort of draw in the editor instead of in the game, to do simple things like linking up a door to a spawn point. These quality of life changes will make the development process faster and just easier on the developers.
We've recently adjusted the game's music tracks to be a bit more even, at a more civilized volume, for your listening pleasure. Additionally, we've expanded the soundtrack scope thanks to app size restrictions lifting since BGP was first started. Long ago, every megabyte on your phone had to count, but nowadays you can basically run a PlayStation 3 game on those things. So now we can add in more songs. We've been starting up conversations with the team's musicians about what the expanded soundtrack should sound like, as well as remind them of what they've done in the past so far, since it really has been a while since they first made the songs we're using. General reaction? I call it artist dissatisfaction syndrome. Yep, just coined that. They hear their own work from years and years ago and want to redo them with their new skills and tools, or they'll just go, yeah, that's an undeniable bop.
Over on the YouTube side, we recently uploaded a video called Making Our Own RPG Combat Formula. The initial idea of the video was concepted for a while, but from start to finish it took about a month to make. We first started with writing the script, which took quite a bit of time considering the complexity of the topic. After that, Sai did the voice recording, with Yotes and I being the directors, so to speak.
I know when I was recording my lines, there were many times where we had to go back and re-record it because I sounded like a teacher, or I sounded like I was tired. And we had to come up with these little tactics to try to get me in a more casual mood. And eventually it is what you see today, where I still see areas where I can improve, but it is way better than the first takes of it. I kind of wish we recorded those takes so we could show people. But when recording these lines, I actually use something called FL Studio. It's somewhat of a common program, but on a Mac it sucks. I would not use FL Studio on a Mac. It absorbs one whole screen and you can't move it around, and all the UI is all squished. I don't like it. Use Audacity. If you want to record audio, use Audacity.
Once the voice recordings were done, it took about another 2 weeks to edit the video. It was tricky making the video because I needed to make visuals to reinforce the audio so a user who doesn't know anything about the topic can fully understand it. Also, while editing the video, we had to rewrite and re-record several parts so that the video flowed very smoothly. I also held a stream about how the video was made. So if you want more information and the details on the entire video editing process, you can check the VOD over at my personal streaming channel over at twitch.tv/confidentcow. If there's interest, I might do more streams on video editing. After making this video, we're starting to get the hang of the workflow. In the future, we plan on turning out videos more quickly. There's already tons of ideas and video series types in the works.
Now, I know it's a darn shame, but we've had to cancel convention plans last minute. We were intending to make an appearance at MagFest in January and even BabsCon next April. We've decided that the budget would be better spent on the game's development for now and help buffer us from going over budget. There's still an entire art team we need to get together after all. All those pony sprites aren't going to animate themselves, and I'd rather not do it all alone. And that humble game fund has been ghostly silent, so we can't really rely on that working out. But instead of dwelling on that, just know we're considering a visit to Everfree Northwest again in late August, hopefully overlapping nicely with our projected release date. It gave a big boost to our Kickstarter, so imagine what it could do to a completed game. But either way, there's lots of development to do between now and 10 months from now.
So for the rest of the year, the main goals are to knock out all the core features that would prevent us from creating the game. When we get to that point, we should theoretically be able to make the game in a very unwanted state, but it would be done. And so from that point, we just all have to focus on polish or balancing or just user experience in general. So by the end of the year, if I complete all of those features, which is the goal, then Yotes will be able to build the game. Then for 2021, I will spend as much time as possible fixing all the battle bugs that are being reported fixing overworld bugs, adding little small updates to the overworld that just make the experience overall better to play.
And I intend to get all the accounting, planning, and organization tasks out of the way so January forward can be focused on implementation, art, story revisions, gameplay balance, and map making.
My goals for 2021 is to get more videos out there and get into the flow of bi-weekly turnarounds on them. I will also be working on more UI elements for BGP DX in the future.
If you have any questions, feel free to comment below or join our community Discord, Reddit, rada. Thanks for stopping by and following the development of Battle Gem Ponies. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye!